Sister Gloria, I think you're muted.
Okay, yes. Our scripture reading is taken from Psalms 30, verses 1 to 3, and verses 5 to 6, and verse 8. And I read, and you'll hear me. I will exalt thee, O Lord, for thou hast lifted me up, and hast not made my foes to rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. For his anger endureth but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Verse 6, and in prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Verse 8, I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. Bless the word of the Lord. Thank you. Amen.
And Shana, Isaiah 60, verse 1 and 2.
Good afternoon. I'm reading from the King James Version, Isaiah 60, verse 1 and 2. It says, Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee.
Amen. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon, I have the privilege and the pleasure of being on this program with someone who is dear to me as a sister. She is my sister in Christ. Her name is Valerie KIRKSEY. Valerie is a missionary to the country of Uganda in Africa. I was first introduced to Valerie in 2016 when a mutual friend of ours put us together because she found out that I was going to Mexico on my second mission trip. And she knew that her friend Valerie wanted to go on a mission trip. So she asked me if it was okay for Valerie to go with me. And so I said, sure, although I had never met Valerie before that time. And so we met, I believe we met in San Diego, and then we were taken into Mexico. So my friend Valerie at that time became a dear sister to me. We had a wonderful time in Mexico, and we kind of stayed in touch. But in 2019, I received a WhatsApp call from Valerie stating that she was in Uganda. And I was like, Uganda, what are you doing there? And she was so excited. She went on to share stories upon stories. We were on the phone for a few hours, and she was just so bubbly, so joyous. You can feel the passion when she was sharing the stories. And so today, I'm hoping that you can benefit from the passion that Valerie has. She is a missionary for Christ. Her mission is to serve Christ. And God has led her to the country of Uganda. And so today, I won't take much of the time. I would like you to give Valerie your undivided attention and support as she shares first her testimony, and she will tell you about the ministry that the Lord gave her over there in Uganda. And so, without further ado, I want to present to you my sister, my partner, my co worker for the cause of Christ, Valerie KIRKSEY. Sister Val, you okay? You on?
What are you doing?
Hello? Hello, Sister Val?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon. What are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. Sister Randa, I want to thank you for inviting me here to just share what God's been doing in my life and with the ministry. And thank you, Sister Lulu, for introducing me to this program also. And it's just a privilege being here. Okay, I'm a missionary for Christ in Uganda. And I got started in 2019. But before 2019, I went through a very dramatic illness, and the doctor thought that I was 10% survival, and I was 90% that I wasn't gonna make it through. I had a emergency surgery, but before I get to the emergency surgery, I want to tell you that God wasn't done with me yet. I went into the emergency room, called the EMS to come to my home and pick me up because I was in severe pain and it just was getting worse. So I called the emergency to come and get me. I wasn't able to even walk to the door by the time they came to get me. But they finally got me to the hospital and was just laying on the gurney. And you know what emergency situation rooms are. It takes a while for them, anybody to come and figure out what's going on. The doctor doesn't come. They come and take blood, and you don't see them for another while. And I was laying there in severe pain, crying out. The pain was so severe. And then I felt death. I knew I was going to die while I was on the gurney. So I just prepared myself. I was praying and just letting the Lord get all my sins and everything that I've done. Is like, Lord, help me to prepare for this because I know I'm leaving. And I pray for my children that they would come back into the church. But while I was praying at the end of it, something, maybe the Holy Spirit said, call Gabriel. And I called Gabriel because I know I was dying. There, it was only waiting for the last breath to be taken. And I just ordered that, said, send Gabriel. And before I got done saying, send Gabriel, I heard somebody said, surgery now. I hadn't seen a doctor or a nurse, and I hadn't felt the gurney move until 2 weeks later. I was in the hospital before I ever got my consciousness back. So when I got out of it after 2 weeks, in and out, not completely out of it, but I was in and out. People visited me. They weren't able to find my children because they didn't even know I was in the hospital. So they found them by lots of trials and errors how to get in touch with them because I wasn't able to. I didn't take my phone with me, so all they knew that I had two sons, but they didn't know where they were, didn't know anything about them, how to get in touch with them. And the doctors told the nurses, y'all need to get the sons because she's not gonna make it. They need to know that their mom is here in the hospital and she's not gonna make it. So they finally found my children through Facebook and some neighbors for like almost a whole 2 days it took them to find my son, but they finally found them and they told them a situation that your mom is not going to make it, so you need to come to the hospital to see her for the last time and whatever. But praise God, I'm here. It's a long story, but I'm not going through the whole story because we have lots to say. But I just want to say that when I realized I was, after all that I've been through, even when I got discharged after a month in the hospital, and was released, one of my church sisters had to take care of me because my sons were in different towns. And she thought that I came to her house to die because even though the hospital released me, the death watch was still over me because I was just in such a bad shape. And she said, I'll take care of her, but I know that she's just coming here to die. After I recover, yeah, she told me that. She would not told me that one. So I just want to say that after I realized, after a few months, the doctor said I was doing much better than he thought. That instead of dying, I recovered in just a few months from all the severity that I went through, and he just couldn't understand how I recovered so fast. Then he found out that I was a vegan, a Christian. They knew I was a Christian because they said while I was in the operating room, I was preaching. And even when I was unconscious in the ICU, I was preaching, so they figured that I was a Christian. And then the doctor asked me what diet I was on, because he said when he opened me up, he knew that I didn't eat meat because the stench wasn't there, and the colon was so clean. So I had surgery on my colon. I probably should have said that. That's what they did. They had to remove like 18 inches of my colon. So I came out with a colostomy bag, which was removed very shortly because my recovery was so dramatic. It was just so speedily. They couldn't understand why. But then the doctor related that it was the way my diet was, the way I was taking care of myself. I was really, really in the health reform, which I'm still is. I'm even more in the health reform now than I was before. But when it was a testimony to him, even though I did not say anything, he did not know I was a Christian, a Seventh-day Adventist, didn't know I was a vegan. He just drew the conclusion because my blood was perfect. Everything, he just said he just didn't know why that happens to my colon. But what happened is that I'd done ministry in Oregon and the Indian reservation. And I think I picked up a parasite. So I got back from the reservation on November of 2010. And then February of 2011, that's when I got the attack. So he kind of said it probably was parasite that I picked up there that interfered with my intestines. So, but when I got well enough and I started thanking the Lord and saying, "You're not done with me yet," and I just kept on praying and said, "Just show me what you want me to do. What are you not done with me?" Because I thought I was a goner on the gurney, and then a month later, I'm released from the hospital, not doing very well, and I get just keep on recuperating so speedily that everybody was just couldn't believe that from a deathbed to be able to do what I was doing in such a short period of time. So I started talking to God and said, "You're not done with me yet. Just tell me what you want me to do." And I said, "I'll be your hands and feet, whatever you want me to do," because I just knew that I was alive for a reason. So then I started just helping my neighbors. I was the go-to woman in my neighborhood. If somebody wasn't the elderly wasn't able to go to the grocery store or to go to the doctor, they would make the appointment and give me the appointment for me to take them, pick them up, pick up uh, groceries, medication. I can't read it. And things like that, cut the grass if the grass was overgrown. So I was quite comfortable thinking that was the hands and feet that God was asking me to do. So I was comfortable with that, but I still kept on praying. And at that time, I was also health ministry at my church and superintendent. So I was quite comfortable that, okay, this is what the Lord wants me to do. But I kept on praying and just was so much want to do more. But I said, if that's what the Lord wants me to do, I'm comfortable with that. But 6 years later, in 2000, that was 2011 that I had that attack. In 2019, I got a call from my sister she's in Florida here. And she just said, "How would you like to go to Uganda?" And then I said, "What's in Uganda? Why would I want to go to Uganda?" And she told me the story of a young lady from Florida that went to visit over there and found out the condition over there with the children and the elderly, that they were just dying, not having any medical care and not even know why they died, because even after death they weren't able to figure out because they've never gone to the doctor. So and after she told me the story about it, I decided, I said, I'll go, but I don't have the money to go. And she said she would help me with the money and she would see if she could get some donation to help me with the money. So I decided, yes, I'll do it. So that was in April of 2019. I made my ticket in April because I decided I was going, but I made it for 6 months later because I wanted was to pray for 6 months to ask the Lord to take away any prejudice, because I know it was a different country, different language. It's a third world country. And I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I didn't want anything to to hinder me over there, any prejudice or anything like that. So I took 6 months off and prayed and asked the Lord to prepare me to be one with those people, to feel comfortable, and the weather is different, everything. It just to let me feel comfortable at home, and that I could enjoy doing the ministry that I was intended to do. And so I prayed, and while I was there praying, the young lady that initially came back from Uganda and gave the story of the need over there, I called her and told her that I was a dietitian, and asked her if she could use me, and I'm a naturopathic also practitioner. And she said, "Oh yeah, we definitely could use you." So I said, "Okay." And she's asked me, how would I like to set up to meet some people from the villages? And I said, well, we could set up for the church and invite them to come in, and I could see them and talk with them and see what their needs are. And we could have a couple meeting with the elders and pastors of the churches. So when I leave, they would be able to help the villagers. Because I went and it was just for 2 months. I decided I was going only for 2 months, and I wasn't going back. It was enough. It was just a good time to say I went on ministry for 2 months and go back to my hometown and continue ministry in my neighborhood. So I left in September of 2019, and I got over there. And when I got over there, the arrangements that I thought was made for me to get started with the program that we had talked about, there was nothing set up. And she did not tell me that it fell through or for any reason. She came to the airport and picked me up and didn't say anything. And the next day, after I recuperated from my flight, a long 24-hour flight, I called her and said, "Okay, when do we get started?" Because I know it was only 2 months. I wanted to get going anyway. I was quite excited about the trip. And she said, "I'm sorry, but what we talked about didn't come through." And I was a little bit disappointed. And then they invited me to meet this lady. She was the manager of Uganda for Farm Stew. Some of y'all might have heard about Farm Stew. So I said, yeah, because I always wanted what to work with Farm Stew as a dietitian also. So I thought, wow, this is this is exciting. I never thought I would even get involved with Farm Stew. I wanted to when I saw it on 3NBN, but it just didn't work out. That wasn't God's plan. So when they asked me, would I like to meet her, I definitely said yes, because I didn't know what I was going to do for 2 months sitting over there not doing anything. And I was quite upset that I pay all that money to get over there and nothing was lined up for me to do. So I met this lady who was the manager for Uganda's area of Farm Stew, and we were introduced, and I told her what I was, who I was, and what I was doing over here. So she asked me if I wanted to join with Farm Stew as a dietitian, go to the villages, talk to people, and we were doing gardenings for the community gardens, and they were just getting started teaching how to do soy milk from soy. We had the soybeans, so we'd make a soy from scratch and tofu, and we go into the villages and we teach the moms how to do that to get milk to sustain the babies. For some of them couldn't breastfeed because they are so malnourished, so they didn't have anything to feed the babies. So I happily said yes, I'll do that. And then she said to me, that was a Friday after what 5 days after I got there, and she said, but I have an appointment at the prison on Monday. Would you be willing to go to the prison with me? And then we'll start from there and go into the villages. And I said, sure. I'm also interested. I'm a part of a prison ministry. So when she said prison, I was quite, yeah, we go there. But it wasn't what I intended. It wasn't what I thought it was anyway. There was no ministry going there. I think she was seeking permission to be on the prison ground to help the moms, the employees, the officers' wives, how to take care of their babies. So I was excited about that anyway. But when I got in, we met with the OC. It means officer of in charge, and she introduced me to the officer in charge. And again, she mentioned that I was a dietitian, so he got excited about it and said, "A dietitian?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, just what I needed, a dietitian." And we started doing a little chit chat and I said, "Why? What's the problem?" It's in prison because over here in America, you don't just walk in and somebody said, I need a dietitian. It's not like that over here. So I said, what do you, but the prison system over there is completely different. Over there, it's not as intimidated like over there. The inmates are free to walk. So I passed several inmates on the grounds going into the office. So he said, we have 56 HIV inmates, and he had just got transferred there in 30 days. And he said every week since he's been there for 1 month, 4 inmates already have died because of HIV. There's no medicine, and the food situation is so horrible. So they're not getting any nutrients. So I dared to say food is medicine, and he got excited because he said, I've never heard that. What does that mean? So I went through it and explained what it is and exactly what I do, why I could be able to say food is medicine. So he got excited, and he was telling me that he always have a real passion for ministry also, but he didn't know how to get started. So I thought he was a Seventh-day Adventist because he's a very Christian type person, a praying type of person. So I didn't question it either. I just said, oh. So I said, oh. He said, when can you start helping me with the inmates? And I said, as soon as you give me some money, I'll get started. And he said, oh no, we don't have money here. I said, petty cash? He said, I know what it means, but we don't have petty cash either. It's like, oh, okay. So I said, jokingly, I said, so why you ask me when can we start if you don't have money to give me? He said, I don't know. I just don't know if you could help. So I said, not a problem. The money that I brought with me to for survival for the 2 months, I said I'll just put everything in there. So right then and there, I told the lady that I was went there with, I said, let's go to the market, and I told him what needs to be done. The inmates need to be separated from the general public, and that I was following a protocol, which is the health laws do that. So we went and we got stoves, pots and pans, water bottlers and blenders and whatever, because what it was, I was going to do green juices with them, and vegetables and beans as their protein, and they use what they call portia, which I didn't even know what portia was at that time, because I've never seen it or heard of it before. So I didn't really take that away from them. I just add to theirs smoothies every day. I have a half a gallon of water, the whole 8 laws of health. I explained that to him, that I would follow that pattern, and he agreed with it. He didn't know exactly everything that I was saying, but he agreed with it, that yes, you can do what you want to do. So we went, and he said he was giving me 14 days to prove that food is medicine, because he had not heard about that. And I didn't explain that it was something that we practice as Seventh-day Adventists or anything. I just said, food is medicine. So we went to the market, we came home, and we bought all those things. And it was too late, but for the night, the only thing I could implement at that day was the water. I bought them water bottles. So he had given me the 13 inmates, and they were the ones that were like one per day would die. They were in such bad, one per week, I'm sorry, would die. So it was only the 13 worst one that he had picked out and given. The other one, he just put them on the sideline. If things work out, then we probably could get to those. So it's 13 of them. So I went 13 bowls, 13 water bottles. Everything was for 13 guys. And then I made a kind of a general menu for them, what I want them to follow for those days. And for the next day, we got started. I was there to teach them how to make the smoothies, and bought them extra carrots and beets that they would eat as a snack for the nutrients for their blood and things like that. So there was quite a drastic change. They weren't eating with the regular general public anymore. So the greens would be separated from them, the beans, and I taught them how to cook the greens, and they could mix it in the beans to make it more nutritious for them and whatever. And he gave me 2 inmates to work with me and 2 nurses for me to teach them, because the inmates would be the one that would be cooking for those 13 guys. And so I would go there every day and assist them teach them, make sure what they were doing was right. Okay, so to make a long story short, we did that daily, every day. And on the 10th day, so after he told me he was giving me 14 days um, to prove that food is medicine, I went home and prayed. And I said, God, you cannot embarrass yourself. I just brag about you. So you got to come through for me. But and I left it like that. I just would pray a blessing on them every night I go home. But me and God, I just have that little talk, and I've just said, Lord, you do your thing, and I'll do my thing. And so on the 10th day, I went back to the prison as I usually do every day, except for Sunday and Sabbath, I wouldn't go. Um, and he said, oh, when I went into the office, he had the big grin on his face, and I like, what are you laughing about? I was smiling, I should say. And he said, oh, you just missed your guys. I said, oh no, that one that we thought was going to die, he died because he was not able to walk to come meet me. They had to carry him. He could not stand up. He could not walk. And so I said, oh, that guy, I forgot his name. I said, that guy died. And he said, no, no, that's the first one that came in to tell me he wasn't sick anymore. It's like, no,
Praise the
he didn't.
Lord.
That's not true. That's no. And he said, yeah. And he said, then the other 18 came in. I said, what other 18? I said, we were only doing 13. Everything I purchased was 13. I counted everything, every piece of carrots, every piece of beets, every banana. He said, I don't know because everybody gets it and we had leftovers. So I put 6 more to the 13, made it 19. I said, that's a God thing. I was only counting 13. But anyway, when that happens, I started crying, but because I just saw God's hands in what I was doing. I took it so personal that this was what God brought me over here for. So I kind of got over the disappointment with not doing what we had talked about before I got there. So I make it now a prison ministry now. So I really, really threw myself in it for the 2 months I was over there, and we sat down and started formulating how to move forward. So he offers me a piece of land, and when I told him that it would be very expensive with the fruits and vegetables and greens and everything that we're trying to do together, so he said, well, I can give you a piece of land. And it's different over here. That's why I said the prison over there is so much different. I could go on the land and farm on the land. He just had to okay it. So he gave me like about a half an acre of land, and he gave me like 20 inmates to, um, to get that piece of land, to clear the land and turn it over with hose and things like that. So I said, yeah, we can do that. And another time, he was so excited about it that he called his pastor. He used to visit Pentecost. He was a member of a Pentecostal church, so he was excited about the miracle he just saw, and he told his pastor about it. And the pastor asked him to ask me to invite me to his church because they were having Women's Day also. So they wanted me to lead out in the women ministry and was to do some health presentation with the women. So I did that. But at the same time, I had 2 other Adventist churches in 2 different villages that I'd set up to have instruction meetings with them, also with the elders. So one was in Ginger where I was staying, and I did that for 15 days. And then I went to another village that was about 6-7 hours from where I was staying. Took us a long time because we had to go by Bada and taxi. So I stayed there for I think 2 weeks. So when I came back on my last 2 weeks, I went to his church and did a presentation there. Then the pastor wants me to come back, but it was time for me to just about leave. So anyways, my two months wound up very quickly because then I was so busy every day I was going to work. I call it work because it wasn't really work. It was such a pleasure doing it. I mean, I really loved it. And my 2 last week, just kind of 2 months just seems to finish up so quickly. But But I want to say that while I was doing it, he never knew that I was a Seventh-day Adventist. I never said anything. I carried myself the way, dress modestly and speak with being nice and get along with all the inmates. They do call me mama, and they just couldn't believe that I came from America to be a mom to them. I had at that time it was only 1,600 inmates that I was working with at that time. So I and the OC, after all that happened, he said, whatever religion you are, I'm gonna be that religion. And I said to him, you don't know what religion I am. I didn't tell you. He said, I don't care. Whatever religion you are, that's what I am. So when I went to the church with him, that was the last time he went to Pentecostal church. So now he's a Seventh-day Adventist. He's waiting to be baptized. So I came back home. Before I came back home, my last week I was praying, and I was so excited about the prison ministry. I was praying, and I said, Lord, tell me what to do right here. I don't know what to do. I just can't leave and cut ties and not come back. And I didn't make preparation to come back. It was only for 2 months, and I'm getting all my kids, my grandkids are in America. I didn't even talk about me staying over time. And my thought in my mind was so profound. It says 6 months America, 6 months Uganda. And I just like, I paused back, who's saying that? But I continued my prayer and I said, Lord, I will take care of Uganda if you take care of my children. And that was my prayer, because my as a single mom, we grew up very closely. My grandkids, really, we are very, very close. She was only 8 years old and at that time anyways. So I thought about it and I said, yes, I'll come 6 months. So I did tell the OC I'll be coming in every 6 months to make sure things are going right. But before I left, after I did the church thing, and people just like, when can you come back? When can you come back? So I kind of saw the ministry was growing right there, because I could do church ministry with other churches and women presentations and my own Adventist churches and stuff like that. So I said, okay. But then when I got back in November, I came back, which ends up my 2 months. I just said, I prayed a lot. And then by March of no, it started out that the king for there's a king in Ginger that I met the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have a matter of fact, I had dinner with her like 3 times while I was over there, and then she offered for me to meet the king, because I was working with her. She was losing weight. She started eating differently. So she was teaching the king servants how to cook for the king, and was telling the king about it while I was working with her. So the king said he would want to meet me, but it was such a short time. So she decided that she would help me to set up a clinic, because they have a radio broadcasting thing early in the morning, and I could come and be a speaker to so many people. But the time was so short, so she told me, when you come back, we'll do that. So I thought about even that when I came. So I came back in November, and in March I went back. I packed up my stuff, put it in storage, and decided that I'm moving to Uganda. So I am now living in Uganda. I'm just here for a while, hoping to leave and pretty soon. So that was my invitation and everything that happens over there. So so I left in 2020. I got back and I started with the ministry in the prison. I got back in April, and instead of just a half an acre of land, we did 3 acres of farming at that time for that prison. Then we started the women prison. We went over there and started farming also, and then the other male prison, we started farming also. So if you had put all the acres together, we probably was doing about 5 acres of farming, over 3,000 inmates that I was feeding greens to every 2 meals a day.
Praise the Lord.
Per day for so after a while, no inmates were getting sick anymore. Things just and I started taking special care of the 56 inmate HIV inmates now. So now I was a mom to over 3,000 inmates. They would call me. They just love mama to death. Mama could do nothing wrong. They just love mama. And I just love them. We would talk about Bibles and Jesus while they're working. I would work with them, plant with them, and things like that. So I really enjoyed that in 2020. So now we raise our own soybeans. The first set of soybeans that we put down, we reaped 200 pounds of soybeans of first
Oh,
time, and
praise
we
the Lord.
were able to
Amen.
share with the villages. So when I was calling the villages of moms with babies with no food, I was able to get soybeans from the prison and go and teach them how to make formula and things like that. And it was just so beautiful. And I went door to door to all these the sergeants, because they live on the compound like a military base. So all 100 and something sergeants that was working on that compound, they live on the compound and their families. So I go to them and make sure everybody had a garden in front of their doorways. I bought the seeds and I bought everything they need, the water cans, whatever they needed. I told them, you need to eat just as well, because they would steal from my garden that was for the inmates. So I figured the way to stop them from stealing is helping them to grow their own farm. And that worked out very well. The kids were doing better. It was just, I'm just so passionate about it, because to see the hands of God, what God did in such a short period of time. And I was
Praise Him.
really excited about it. But in April, no, in Joy was I got my in July of 2020, a few months after I got there, me going into the villages, villagers were knowing me now, and they called me the village doctor. So I was like on call. This lady would come and tell me, oh, I have a cancer patient here that wants to see you. I have a patient with a grandma with heart problem, ulcers was very common over there. It's so easy to take care of, but it's so common over there because they don't know what to do. And then she told me, so I would visit the villages every day. There would be somebody, like I said, I was like a on-call doctor over there, and they call me the village doctor. So she would tell me, she would come and pick me up to take me wherever I need to go to see a villagers. So she came and told me one day about the baby whose mom, she died in child. Well, the baby was born, and then she just shortly after she gave birth, she just died next to the baby in a real bad, poor situation. And the baby was given to this the family in a village 6 hours away from where she was born. They took her to this lady on the back of a bike in a cardboard box, tied her box, put her in the cardboard box and tied her to the back of the bike and drove her 6 hours away to this lady that I thought was the aunt. But she asked the lady that I was working with to bring me to see the baby, because she wanted to know how to feed the baby. So I thought she didn't have children and she just didn't know how to feed a baby. So I decided I would go. So one day, leaving work from the prison, we just went over there to see what was going on. So I went thinking I'm just instructing her how to feed the baby or what to do for the baby. But when I went over there, it was the really bad condition. The baby was almost 3 months old, and she was butt naked, no diapers, no shirt, nothing. And she was wrapped in a half torn up towel or blanket. I don't know, remember what it must be, a blanket, something that was wrapped around her. So as soon as I took her, she peed on me. But and she was fussing. So I said, can I have a bottle? And they brought me a bottle which had sugar water. And it's like, what is this? And they said sugar water. It's like, you gave her sugar water. That's all she had from she was born. And if the sugar ran out, they would give her plain water. So for 3 months, all she had was sugar water or plain water. So I my heart just break, and I figure, okay, I have to do something. So I gave them some money to go get some milk. Unfortunately, couldn't find some goat's milk. I'm not into cow's milk, but that's the best I could do. I gave them a couple thousand shillings, and I said, would you go get her some cow's milk? And the next day I'll come back with some soybeans, and I will teach you how to make soy milk for her. So I did that. The next day I went back. Um, she said that the cow's milk, I think it was like a liter. She finished that liter through the evening to the morning when I met that. She ran out of food the night because she didn't know when to stop eating. She had never eaten food. So she just kept on eating, eating, eating. And so the cow's milk was gone before I even got there. And then we went and started making soy milk to give to her, and no clothes again, the same towels around her, dirty towel. The auntie was even there, was children. I think the oldest child was 8 years old that was taking care of her, who the baby that wasn't even 3 months old, that 8 year old is taking care of her, and four other her siblings there. So it's like I went home and started praying and asking the Lord what He would want me to do about this baby, because I wasn't intending on being a mom or a grandmother or anybody's mom at my stage in age. But I prayed and I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel by me not stepping in. So I stepped in and asked the aunt that which wasn't her aunt. Over there they'll call people aunt or grandmother, but they're not really blood related. But that's respect. But they would cling to the aunt and grandma unless you know differently. You would think that they're related, but they weren't related. But she said she was the aunt of hers. So I asked her, I said, how would you feel for if I take the baby for 6 months, get her body fed and things like that, and bring her back? And something said, and after the 6 months, after you get her back to health, what were you going to do with her? And I said, okay, I'll take her for a year. And the same thought come to my, and after a year, what are you going to do with her? You going to bring her back into the same situation? And that lady had 6 children who could not find food, couldn't afford anything in one room. So it kept on saying, and you're gonna bring her back, 6 children who's underfed also, and she's dying, and you're gonna bring her back in the same situation. And if you give her money, it's no certainty that she was gonna be fed or was gonna be clothed. So I said, okay, I don't know, so, but I'll take her for the year and I'll think about it. So I had to go to the proper paperwork, go to the police station and show a picture of her in case she died while I have her, that I wouldn't be arrested, because if I taken her just like that and take her home and she passed away in my care, I would be arrested, and there's no way that I could get free. I would spend life in prison because I'm a foreigner and a Ugandan die in my care. That's punishment by life sentence. So the OC, I called him and said, I relayed everything was going on, and he said, no, you can't do that. You have to go to the proper channels. So I went to the police station, wrote up a statement. They took pictures of her and took the statements that if, and give me the okay that even if she passed while with me, I would not be persecuted because they have everything written down on her condition. So I did take her, and while I went to the they call them the probation officer, which is what we call child protection service. They call it probation officer over there. So the following day, I went talked to them and the situation, and they gave me the okay. So in 2 days, the paperwork was done with for fostering, and that the next day he would go with me to present the baby to me. They call out all the village people to make sure they knew who I was, and they questioned me, what was my plan about her and whatever. So it's not, even though they weren't relating to her, but it's like everybody in the village she's relating to, because I couldn't just get her without the village mom and village dad and the aunts had to come to the meeting when the probation officer was there with me so they could question me about my intent. And they finally said yes, I could take her home. So while he was writing up the papers, he said, so you will be fostering her for 1 year and then adoption. And I said, yes. And then I caught myself. It's like, what did I just say? I will adopt her? And he said, yes. And it's like, yes, I will adopt her. So I started the adoption papers. So I got her home under the care, foster care, but with the intention of adopting her. August 19th, August 22nd, she would have been 3 months old. So I just love on her. The first bottle of milk I gave her, or the first bath that I gave her, the first clothes I gave to her when I brought her home, because she had never wore clothes, um, clean bottles and everything. And she was just the joy of my life. Really, I just, even though it wasn't planned, but I just loved her from the moment even before I brought her home. I just fell in love with her. Unfortunately, after I had her for a month, September 22nd, I showered her, bathed her, put her to bed. We said her little prayers. I taught her, even though she was a baby, Jesus loves me, this I know. And I prayed a one sentence prayer, just not my prayer. Just wanted to let her know that this is the way she's going to be brought up. We need to be praying and we need to be singing. And so I put her to bed on the 22nd of September. I got her on the 19th of August. I brought her home on the 22nd of September. I put her to bed, and for me, I got ready, took my shower, got ready, and we went to bed. And in the middle of the night, she started ready, diaper need to be changed, and a bottle, and I couldn't move. It's like, okay, what's going on? So the nanny that was taking care of her for me while I went to work was at my house that night. She had spent the night at my house, and I tried again, and the pain, my whole bottom, for only my neck could move. Everything else was not able to move. So I called her and I called her by name. I said, "Would you come and take the baby for me and change her and give her a bottle because I can't move?" So she was like, "What you mean you can't move, mom?" She called me mom. I said, "I can't move." So anyway, I said, "Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I just need to lay down for a little bit." So she went and took care of the baby, and then she brought the baby back, and I laid the baby next to me, because at that time I didn't even have a crib, because she wasn't planned. I wasn't planning on having a baby, so she was sleeping in the same bed with me. And she put the baby down, and I'm there, and I can't turn over even to look at her now, even though she's next to me. I turn my head, but I can't turn my shoulder or anything. So the next after day came, I realized that I was paralyzed, that I can't move. So I laid there for 2 days, and I just prayed, and I said, "Oh no, this is maybe." I'd fell at work twice, two times, and I was out for 1 week for one side of me, on my knees. I fell on my knees twice, two falls, and I thought that maybe was ripple reflect on my back, but so I figured, oh no, just give me a couple of days. So I called in and told the OC that I wouldn't be at work because um I, I could no, I'm glad I didn't call the OC at that time. I just didn't go into work because I didn't really have to report. I'm a missionary. I didn't really have to report, and I think he was out in the fields at that time too. So it just keep on prolonging that I'm not moving. I can't move, and I can't brush my teeth. If I brush my teeth, she had to put a wash rag under me so I can just barely spit out whatever was in my mouth. There, couldn't eat, couldn't move, and that went on for 2 weeks because I'm stubborn. I've never been really sick other than the situation that I've been through. I'm not a sickly person. I'm a really active person. So I just said, "Oh, don't worry about me." And it just went on for 2 weeks. And the OC, when he came back, he came to the house to visit me, but he didn't know I was sick because he keeps calling me to see how everything was going. And I said, "I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed." So I never told him I was sick. So when he came, he found that I was paralyzed, and he was not very happy with me about it, that I kept that from him or from anybody. So he called in a house call doctor to come in because I couldn't move, to come and see what was going on. Well, he couldn't do much either because he couldn't touch me because I'm screaming in pain, even with my palate. I couldn't move, but I was in a lot of pain. So he couldn't move me to even see what was going on with me. But he went to the pharmacy and pick up some pain medicine. So he would give me shots 3 times a day. It wasn't helping. So then long story, it came where I had to go to the hospital because nothing was working and I was getting worse. So they had to carry me three stories down for me to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital and I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. All kind of tests were done, and they just couldn't find anything that was wrong with me. I think somewhere within the first week, all they found out that I had massive blood clots in my thighs, but it wasn't contributing to the pain or the paralysis. That they didn't think that because it was just not, my thighs were just hurting, my back was hurting. So, but they just figured because I was moving, maybe the blood clots. And I did have blood clots, and in 2011 when I had that situation. So we weren't too worried about that, that it was what causing my back to be like that. But I went back after 2 weeks. I went back home to where I went to the hospital, still in pain, still paralyzed, still had to be carried around, wheeled. I was wheeled around on the hospital grounds, and then I was carried up the 3 flights of stairs again. The same situation, same way that I left the first time. So that was it. And I was there, I think, on my second month, laying in bed, not able to do anything, and stop eating because I couldn't eat. Then I started having to, well, I immediately started having to wear diapers because I couldn't move. So my house girl, my nanny, she would have to be the one caring for me, caring for my baby at the same time. I'm in diapers. She's trying to cook for me, but nothing. I couldn't eat anything. It just wasn't tasting right to me. So while I was there, I started crying out to God, and I said, God, there's a reason for me to be in this situation. I'm okay with it. Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it while I'm laying on my bed, because I felt I was going to be paralyzed for life. Again, this was a situation, and I just take it, but God knows best. So if this is what He wants, I would go, I'll be okay with it, laying on my bed. And the voice said to me, you have fed the prisoners physical food. It's time for you to feed them spiritual food. And I like, oh, wow. And I said, what do you want me to do? And it was said, you need to start a church in the prison. So I said, okay. And I called the lady that I got started with, because she's fluent in English and her language. She's very well known. She was in the church when I met her. So I figured, I called her in, and she was the mother of my baby's nanny also. And I expressed what the Lord had impressed upon my heart to do, and asked her how could she help me with that, because I'm not able to move, but I would try to see if I could financially support while they would do the groundwork. And she said yes, she would. She just asked me what do I have in mind, and I said we'll do some recording from the church program at the church that she attends, and I would buy the systems and everything to work with that, the thumb drives and everything the recording um, that's needed. So they would come to my house and do the recording from the sermons from each week. And she said, yes, that could be done. And then there was a Bible worker. I called her in and said, how could we start doing some Bible work in the prison with Bible studies? We had some amazing facts Bible studies. And we talked about it. It took us like about 2 weeks to get going, because while I'm asking the young man what would it take for us to get started, she told me, but he said, oh, but it's going to be, I forgot how many millions to get started. I was so blessed that God went ahead of me. While we were talking about that, I think a day or two after that, somebody sent me the exact amount of money that I needed was to get the equipment to get started with the church. So we got it off in 2 weeks. I called the OC and I said, I'm asking permission if we could do church in the prison. And he was so excited about it because remember, he already told me whatever religion I am, that's what he is. So he was quite excited and said, sure. And he said, I'll do what I have to, what I need to do. Just tell me what I need to do. So we collaborate with them and we got it off. So we have two service per Sabbath. It was on Sabbath. One we do the 11 o'clock service, and then we break for, we'll do a little bit brief Sabbath school, but it's not really Sabbath school. We just do some service, some Bible reading, like a Bible study. Then we go into 11 o'clock service. Then we'll break for lunch, and then 2 o'clock we will meet for Bible studies. So we had over 200 people signed up for the for Bible studies. By the time we got done with it, I wasn't there when we got finished because we started though in October. That was September. In first part of November, we started the program, the church and the Bible studies, and it was going so well that the inmates now they were just asking for more, more, more. So we started giving them the Bible studies, and they would do the Bible studies, and then on Wednesdays the Bible instructor would go and collect the lessons and have another setting where they could discuss and ask questions if they had something incorrectly or didn't understand something. So we were meeting on Sabbath every week and on Wednesdays also. And by the time we got done with that, 168 inmates were finished with the studies, and 68 of them signed up to be baptized.
Praise the
Unfortunately,
Lord. Praise the Lord.
unfortunately, by the time the baptism part, COVID came in real rapidly because that was 2020, and the commission for the prison of Uganda would not allow anybody to be on the compound. As a matter of fact, even when I was going there, I was the only person that outside of the prison administrator could be on the compound. Unless you were coming to deliver stuff, you were not allowed in prison. So, but I was allowed. That the commissioner gave me the okay by the OC admission that telling him what was going on and how the work I was doing. So I was able to go. So by the time I left there, my visa got expired while I was sick and not able to move. So that got me in a lot of trouble. Even though I was sick in January, um, December, sometime in January, I was starting to force myself to get out of bed because I cried to God and I asked for healing if it was His will. And one afternoon, I just said, I'm going to the bathroom on my own. And my nanny said, no, you can't because you can't move. And I said, I'm going to do it. I said, I feel like I should do it. And I did it with much pain, but much persistence that I'm getting up. And praise God, I was able to get to the bathroom, and every day since that, I would just slowly hold on to the wall and crawl and go sit in the living room for a little bit in the sunlight. And I was able to walk not very well. So I figured it was coming up to time for me to go back home. And so by the time I sent my nanny to Kampala to get my visa now, they stated, and the doctors had sent some paperwork to prove to them that I was sick for this many months, or I was paralyzed, couldn't move, and I'm still not able to move. But I need to go back home, come back home. They fined me 10,000 American dollars for my that my visa was expired, and it would be more than that, but it was supposed to be $25,000 because it's $1 per day. You over your stay is $1 per day. I mean $100. I'm sorry, $100 per day. So from the time that my visa expired to when I would be able to go, it came up to like $25,000. I pleaded with them on the phone and talked to them, and they went down to $10,000. They wouldn't go any lower. They said because I could have sent my nanny. They gave reason why they weren't that I could have done better than that. Even though I was sick, I could have thought about asking somebody to help me out with it and whatever. A long story, but I came over in 2021, and while I was over here, they gave me 2021 to come back home, pay $10,000. I'm not allowed to come back in the country until after a year, and I was okay with that. So while I'm here, I was still supporting the ministry over there, sending money on a monthly basis to keep up with the prison grounds, the plant, the farming, the tools, whatever was needed. I was still supported, even though it was a challenge because I'm a self-supporting ministry by myself. At that time, I was still doing it by myself, and I'm receiving Social Security, but it was still something that I pledged to the Lord that I would take care of Uganda, and I'm still doing that. It's still a pledge that I committed myself to, that I would take care of Uganda. Um, so I would do that. I came home and paid off that. I sold my house and my car, so I could able to pay my fine because I still wanted to go back. I still have a baby over there that I'm taking care of. I'm responsible for her, and my income was not enough, so I had to sell my house and my car. While I was over here in 2021, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, so that puts a real stress on me. I'm not there and not allowed to go back into the country. Um, so my nanny had to be the one, like a mom over there, working through me. She was my in go-to person between the doctors. She's the middle person. So they diagnosed my daughter that she had cancer, neuroblastoma, and I'm not there, and I'm a naturopathic and whatever. But so I did what I had to do. I did commit her. They told me that I did commit her while I wasn't there, that they could give her a low dose of chemo. And she was, and then while she was there, they found out she had malnutrition, leaky gut, you name it, she had it. Her bones were. She would never. She never crawled because she couldn't crawl. She couldn't walk. If she gets up trying to walk, so she had bone problems that would didn't allow us to walk. So she was going to be crippled. There, her teeth started coming up. She had double rows of teeth, so she looks like she was an animal. So when she was like, as soon as she got through with the radiation, I was they said that they would do oral surgery on her. So by the time she was 18 months, they did oral surgery on her to remove all those bones that was sticking up in her mouth. Um, but while she was doing that, I decided I didn't want her. I just wanted her was to get the radiation just to kind of help me to get the protocol for her for while I'm not there, because it was so hard me not being there to know exactly what I need to do or to know that it was even going to be done. But anyway, the nanny, excuse me, the nanny, I started telling her what needs to be done. There's no cooked food to be given to her. Everything should be raw and everything should be liquid because she has absorption problem with the leaky gut and different problems. So I put her on a protocol now that she had to get green juices 3 times a day, and she would get beet juice once a day also. So all she was getting, everything was raw, everything was fresh, everything was organic. And I stopped the radiation. Didn't want her to have any more radiation. I figured that she had enough, whatever was going on. And I prayed and I told God, I'm leaving her in control. She's your daughter. She's not mine. So your will be done. But I'm going to do what you asked me to do to feed her um, the best way I can. So everything was organic. When she was taking probiotic and vitamins, liquid vitamins from the day that I bought her, she was always on those supplements. And I continue with that. And I would give her onion water to drink. I would give her remedies. If she had a cold, I would do onion syrup for her, whatever. So after a while, the doctors, she got over it. They tested her and said, oh, she doesn't have any cancer, but they couldn't realize it, like, what's going on there. So there were moms in the hospital that were saying she was never sick because she never did look sick because she was so well taken care of. After I got her, I would the way I fed her made her look like she was never sick. So the moms now, they started complaining and that, why is she here? because she doesn't, she's not sick, so why she's here? So they would tell her that no, she has the same cancer problem like your daughter, and they would say, tell the doctor that they were lying. That there was nothing wrong with her because she was able to move around. Their babies were laying in the bed, not able to move, and they just wasn't eating anything, and the radiation wasn't helping and whatever. So they called in my nanny because I was still here, and asked and told my nanny, would you just explain to them the condition and the picture? Well, later on you may see the picture when that she was when I first got her and what she looks like now. And the doctors would ask my nanny, said, would you show them the picture that you showed us where her when her mom first got her, and let them see what she looked like and what she's looking like. That is nothing to do with and they would say no, that I had her over in America and I took her over there, that she's an American baby. She was never a Ugandan baby. So it's lots of controversy going because of the way she was looking. So the doctor just one day said, would you ask Joy's mom if you can use her provide us with some of the green juices and the beets and all the way that being fed the green juices and fruits, the different kind of foods that her mom is saying to give her. No cooked food. She wasn't eating from the hospital. We took the nanny would take blender. Everything was from the house, blender and everything. And so she called and asked me if I gave her permission to use some of Joy's food supplies to do some smoothie for the other children. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I'll just send, if you run out, I'll just send you some more money so you can keep up with George. But I said, you can do that. So she did that for a few days. Some of the babies were so badly off that they couldn't drink from a cup, not 2 ounces, because I told her, I said, do not give them 2 ounces of that. You use a spoon and you feed them 2 4 spoons and stop for a while and let them get used to it, because it would be too strong for them. And that's what she would do. And she was nice enough to some of them that she would do it herself. She would feed them when she wasn't attending to George. And within a week, they were changed, and the doctor like, okay, this is fun. Now the babies are looking better, and they're just doing so much better. So the moms started like, what was that? They wanted to know, what was that? Is that what her baby eats every day? And they said yes. So they said it was too expensive to do. So I told the nanny, I said, you tell them radiation is more expensive than food. So let's try the food. So I talked to the doctor, and the doctor told them the same thing. He said, do you know what you're paying for radiation and the hospital bills and whatever? And over there, if you don't have the money, they don't get the treatment. So if radiation IV is done halfway in the treatment and you can purchase the rest of the medicine, it just stops there. It's not like over here where you get the treatment and then you get released and you get payments. No, you have to have the money up front before your baby or anybody can be treated. And if they treat you and you don't have the money when it's day for you to release, you cannot leave the hospital. So the bills will go up, but no treatment, but you can't leave the hospital. So say that they didn't have the money to continue the radiation, the babies would lay in the bed, no radiation, but they cannot leave the hospital because they can't. Would have to pay up the bills before they can leave. So it was just a losing situation there if you don't have money. So I told Unit to tell the doctor to get a blender for the hospital and start buying some greens. So they did that, and he sent and asked me, can I use your protocol? And it's a little bit more than just that, but it was by using fresh fruits and vegetables, no cooked food, and the supplements, the vitamin, the probiotic, and all that. Lots more protocol than that. So he asked me, could he copy the protocol for the hospital? And his his main hospital was in Kenya. He was from Kenya. They just called him. He's a renowned cancer, pediatric cancer doctor. So whenever they have real bad cases, they would call him over into Kampala. So he had just comes over and was treating some patients over there. But his main stay is in Kenya. So he sent the protocol over there. He got with his people over there, told them the protocol, told them what he had seen in the hospital, and that he got permission from me to use the protocol. And so he would talk to me and ask me how to go about doing what needs to be done. And the hospital in Kenya adapted to that because he was the head. I think he was the head oncology over there. So they adapted it real quickly. Then he proposed the same thing to Kampala, where Joy was getting her treatment, and they met up and they said yes, they'll do it and what needs to do. So I told them what they need to do is buy blenders and add it to the bill, because if you tell them to buy a blender separated from the bill, they said it's too expensive. But when you give them a blender, they thought they got a blender for free. So the doctor thought that was clever. Like, we hadn't thought about that. So we'll give everybody a blender, but they're really paying for it from the payments. And I said, yeah. And so he did that. And for that whole year, from that started in 2022, and this is now 2025. The last report that I got, not one baby died of cancer in any of those hospitals anymore. And they no longer who would be on there for 6 months taking chemo or radiation. The longest they had a patient, even in Kenya right now, is 6 weeks radiation. I think they used the protocol because Joy was only on the radiation for 6 weeks, and then I continued doing that. But while she was on the radiation, she was getting just raw food, just juices, green juices, and beet juices, and papayas, one of her favorite food, mangoes and whatever. So I think that they added 6 weeks radiation because they thought that was the protocol that I'd set up for Joy, because they would tell the other doctors, whatever Miss Kirksey said to do for her daughter, that's what we do. So they would never do anything with my daughter without not asking me if I agreed with it. So if I said no, I don't agree with that, I don't want her to have that, they wouldn't do it. They would just pass the message on. Miss Kirksey said no, she will figure out what needs to be done, and I would figure out, I would think about it, pray about it, the Lord would tell me what I need to do for her. So I did that with her. And then so she is very healthy now.
Praise the Lord.
She's very healthy now. So we're doing, so now we went back in. So we, after all that, we started getting more calls about children. Now, we were already paying tuitions for 19 kids. This is a lot, so it's kind of I'm coming fast because I know I'm running out of time right now.
Yes, and I'm sure we have questions.
Yeah, so now we went into the school system now. So we just developed, since last year, developed a scholarship program for 13 schools in 5 districts, because for orphans. So lots of the kids were not able to go to school. So our ALS is now having 300 and something kids that we're working with, and we're develop a scholarship program for them. And in 1 week, 1 month after we started the scholarship program in those 5 districts, we provide uniforms, school supplies, and shoes, and we do clothes drive so we can provide clothing for them. The government district, like we call them representatives over here, they call them LC ones and twos over there. They like what we were doing over there, so they started joining with us and said they wanted us to do something like we did, but they didn't know how to get started with the schools. The teachers are so much happier, so now they feel more relaxed, and the kids are doing better in school. We're feeding them two meals per day, breakfast and lunch, and that's the only meal some of them got. So after this, somebody heard about what we were doing there. One person donated 20 acres of land to us for free, so we could build, with intent that we can build a school, orphanage, and guest houses, and worship centers, and community centers, and vocational learning center. So he gave us the land to do as we as we see best to do to accommodate the district. And a month later, after we got the land, 3 people donated 3 houses to us for us to use as we see for guest houses for people that wants to come in and join with us as missionary with us. So we have 3 houses right now. Right now, we're seeking help to furnish those houses, because coming up this year's in June, we are planning right now with my sister Gloria and sister Luella is join hands with me, and another friend, my brother Alex, that is in Tennessee, join hands with us over there, and we're planning right now for evangelistic series in June, the last week in June and first week in July, that we'll be doing some evangelism in all five districts. So we want to have five different sites over there and do children ministry. So we're doing that right now. And we just bought a store so we can help to generate funds, because it's getting very expensive. Again, we don't have a big donor base. It's still like almost self-supporting, a few donors, but we really would love to have monthly donors, which we don't really have any monthly donors right now. But we do appreciate whatever we get, whether it's monthly, once a month, once a year. We do appreciate. We're not you, we're still thankful to God. But so that's where we at right now, trying to get funds for building funds to do with the the orphanage. And as you go, you'll see Lula will bring some pictures up where, because of what we're doing, we get several calls with children who are being moms and dad to their siblings, no parents, parents got killed, and they're calling us to take over. So that's where we are. You'll see some pictures that's showing some real cases. And I think we have online the newsletter, which is very comprehensive about what is going on with those children and families that we're taking over right now. So, so I will stop for right now, because I'm sure some questions coming in, and Lula may have some questions to ask me, so we can get to the bottom of exactly what is going on over there right now. So
Okay.
now for this time, and Miss Lulu, back to you.
Yeah, they can go ahead and ask the questions. Sister Gloria, were there any questions in the chat? And Sister Rhonda, are you on? Can you put that slide presentation on right now?
Okay, it's coming.
Okay. Such a powerful, powerful, powerful testimony, Sister Valerie. Wow. See how God works.
Okay, that's our emblem right there. Arise, love, serve. But we the abbreviation is ALS, Africa.
Sister Rhonda, can you keep rolling the slides, and Valerie will explain what each slide is.
Okay, this one is
One moment, please.
just
One moment.
okay.
Okay, just say when you want it to be moved. Thank you.
Okay, this is just telling about us. Pretty much what I already said is telling us about our the pillars, that we are into education, counseling for young moms. We're mentoring the young moms. We have 9 moms right now. The ages from 12 to 15. Young mom, they should be in school. They're having babies and not able to take care of them. So we are teaching them, empowering them how to get started, trying to get them back in school. So we do have adult evening classes right now that we're working on, so they can go back to school. And not just the young moms, their moms who are in their 50s and 60s who want to go back to school now. So it's open for them also to can go. So just telling some of what we're doing right now. We're doing rehabilitation for inmates also when they get out. So we do work with, and we continue to do prison ministry with our inmates. Next. Okay, and there are our pillars that we're talking there, education, vocation. So we already went through those. So we can move from there. Okay, that's the gardening that at the prison part of the acres of vegetation that we had put up that we're using. On the left, those are soybeans. Like I said, we reaped 200 pounds of soybeans from that, and those were just green vegetables. Some of those are what we call beans, but they don't let their beans. These what we have on the compound. We don't let them pod. We just eat the leaves of it, so they don't pod. So we don't get beans from these. We just eat the leaves. And on the other side is what we call callaloo. That's the red callaloo, which is very good for the iron. So we like to incorporate those with the green callaloo also. So that's what that is, part of the prison ministry. Up next. Okay, that's my daughter. That little infant there. That's when I got her. She was 3 months, almost 3 months old. The one in the plaid, her in the plaid dress. She was 3 year. That was her 3 year birthday, and the other one is 4-year-old birthday. So she's looking good. She's now in school. Very bright, very active, and very tall. Much bigger than these pictures now. But that's her, my baby Joy. Next. Okay, these to my left, the three sisters, those are three sisters that you see hugging there. In 2022, I became acquainted with the immigration officer that was working on my visa for me to go back to Uganda, and we became friends. I don't know why, because usually those people, they just do what they need to do with your visa, either give it to you or deny you. But somehow we became friends, even without me meeting him. And we were communicating, and one day he sent and told me that he was having the flu, and the flu seems that it was prolonging. And I said, you need to go to the doctor. He went to the doctor. When he went there, they found out that both kidneys were failing. So they um, set up for emergency kidney transplant, but in Turkey. And these are their three children, 11 at that age. They were 11, 13, and 16, and they left them on their own in Kampala. And I just told them they were supposed to be gone for 6 months, sorry. And I told them that I would take care of them for the 6 months because they had no relative. The parents were also orphans too. So I said, I'll take care of them for 6 months, and you come back and you take over. And I just thought, okay, so that would be it. February 6, 2023, a Turkey earthquake. Both parents were killed in the earthquake. So then these children was left to me now because I'd taken over for 6 months with the hope of the parents coming back. So now these are my three daughters, and they are getting ready for baptism this month. They grew up as Catholic. They're very, very spiritual. I am surprised that they are really, really good girls, very top of their class in school. So the one on the left, she's in university right now. She just went to three surgery with taking out a rod from her thigh because a butter knocked her down 2 years ago, and they put a rod in her leg, and it's time for it to be taken out. So she just had two surgeries back to back because they made a mistake when they went in there. They took out one screw instead of four screws, and that put her back in 2 weeks later. So right now she's in a wheelchair now. She can't get around much. The one in the middle, she is getting ready to do Lower Cambridge. She's in high school getting ready. 2 more years and she'll be getting ready for university. My baby on the far right, she just came out of the hospital. She has problem with bronchitis. And in November, she was on her way to school. The bus turned over, broke her rib. So right now she has a titanium rib and bulge in her back that she just had 3 surgeries, one on her ribs and one on her back. But those are my girls. And those are the other ones in the middle. Those are 4 children that my sister, okay, let me see. Yeah, my sister Gloria, thank her, praise God, adopted those children because those were our responsibilities, schooling them also. And like I said, sometimes the fund is low because I'm just running on my social security, and maybe I think 2 more people that is helping me a little bit. So those are Sister Gloria's babies. Those are not mine, but they are under ALS. So next picture. Okay, and the one on our left now, that's baby Esther. That is Sister Luella's baby. She was my baby before. I was trying to take care of her, but with the resources so limited, um, my two sisters decided that we'll adopt these babies. So that's Sister Llewellyn's baby and the grandmother for the baby, but she couldn't afford to take care of her. The one in the middle, that's 11-year-old boy and a 9-year-old. Their siblings. It's seven of them. Both parents. The the rebels that came to the village killed both parents and left all seven kids. So right now they get up. Those two boys get up from 5 o'clock in the mornings, go and pick turmeric and sell them and go back home and make party for the other five kids and go fetch water from a distance, trying to make it back to school. So they are on our program of scholarship program also, and now we'll be providing monthly food supply for them. So they are taken care of. We supply them they with shoes and clothing. So those are our two boys, a part of the school in one of the villages. Those in the middle, they just got burnt out of their home. They don't have any home. So you see them underneath the trees. That's where we found them. It's five of them. So right now we just got a hold of those. They just call us in on those just today. So while I'm here, I give that to Lulu. So right now we're trying to figure out how to help them. That is the reason, one of the reasons why we so desperately need funds to help us with our orphanage, because most of our children are orphans. We just can't work fast enough or collect the funds fast enough to do these buildings. We have the land, and I think coming up you'll see the structure that we have in mind that we want to set up for the school, the orphanage, and offices. So right now, all we can do right now is provide them with food. Um, Somebody we reach out to somebody, and somebody's renting a one room house for all five of them. So we that has to do for right now until we get funds or we see what's going on to take better care of them. But right now we have um 18 of them in the same situation that we have, and you'll see as we go along, you'll see 18 of them. Okay, if you look at the bottom right now, those are four children. There's a baby on the back of that bigger girl. You can barely see them. So that's a family of four. The mom just walked away and left them because she couldn't support them. She couldn't feed them. So I don't know how she think if she left them that they would be fed. But anyway, she walked away, left them. They call us in on that. So right now we're trying to. They live in a hut right now where they used to live. So we gonna have to go with that for right now. But right now we're making provision for them to get monthly supplies. So at least they will have food and clothing. We will supply them with clothes and shoes. Now, right now, the 8-year-old should be in school. We are so tapped out right now that we kind of have her on the waiting list, but which is not fair to her. But we're so tapped out with resources right now. But we will, as God bless us, hopefully we'll be able to have her in school for next term, and the other children will just figure out how we can have somebody to check in on them for right now, make sure they're fed and have clothes and shoes on their feet. And the other ones up top, that's the my director up there in the suit, um, and is passing out school supplies. So that's one of our children that is a beneficiary of the scholarship program. And they all are orphans. If you see the orphans, they all are orphans there. Okay, next picture. Okay, those are one of our schools, and we are doing an assembly. The government gave us permission because of what we're doing that we can come in once a month or something like that. We do, and we can come up and teach them Bible. So we do pray with them in the morning for assembly. Whenever we go, they gather, so we can have spiritual assembly moment with them. And the government is quite happy that we're teaching them about God and giving up them some hope. So that is what that session is all about right there. And we do school supplies and clothes supplies. So everybody's kind of right now in uniform. A few of them are not in uniform, but those will be taken care of. I think they were already taken care of. So that's what that is. Okay, next one. Okay, there are Okay, so those are more children. Like we said, we're in 13 schools. So you'll see lots of children gather up. You may not be able to see 13 schools, but those are like five, one, two, three, four, five schools right there with them. If you see them, everybody's got either receipt to that their tuitions are be paid. We pay the tuition to a bank, and with the schools and just their names written on there. We get receipts and give it to the kids. The kids take the receipts and turn it in to the teachers, so the teachers know that their tuitions are paid, that they're good for the term. So that's what is being handed out on some of the bottom line. The top one is the school supplies, but their tuitions are also paid. The other ones, you'll see them with that receipt in their hands. That means their tuitions are paid, so they'll be going to school. And each time we go to hand out tuitions or school supplies, we do take the opportunity to tell them that Jesus loves them, and that God is watching over them, and they'll be okay. And we just give them little pep talks, and they're very bright. They're doing very well. Make Most of our children are on top of their classes. They were logging behind because they would have to worry about not going to school the next day, or that the tuitions weren't paid. They would get, and if you don't pay the tuition, they get turned away. They give them like a few days after the term starts, and if you didn't come up with the money by the rest of the week, they get them turned away, and they wouldn't be able to go back to school for the terms unless they bring the money. So now these children don't have to worry about that, because their school fees are paid in full, and they're able to get breakfast and lunch now, which is the only meals for some of the kids. So, next. Okay, this is another story. This family is a family that is neighbor to my three children that I showed you, the one that the parents died in Turkey. Um, I was talking to my one of my daughters, and there was crying in the background, and I asked her, I said, "Who's crying? Why is that child crying like that?" And she said, "Well, because they're hungry. It was evening time. They should have had breakfast, lunch, and dinner if they do eat 3 meals." And my daughter told me, she said they hadn't eaten all day, so the children are crying and asking what are they going to eat, and the mom is telling them nothing. They have no food. So I told my daughter, I said, would you give her 10,000 shillings and tell her that she can prepare meals for the day, for the evening. So she gave her the 10,000. And the mom said, "Oh, this is for 2 days. We'll get dinner tonight and we'll have a meal for tomorrow, and then that's it." So I went to bed and I was praying about the moms and the situation. And it's like somebody said, "Why don't you ask to see how you can empower her to do something better for herself?" So the next day I called and I asked. I said, "Does she have a piece of land? Because that's her house right there. If you notice, it doesn't even have a door. There's a curtain there for the door, um, and she said, yes." So I asked her, well, I was talking to the mom, I said, "So why, what's the reason? What's preventing you from having a garden?" She said every time she puts a garden in, the chicken from and the goats from the other neighbors comes in and eat her greens. So I said, what would happen if I buy you chicken wires and you enough chicken wires to fence off what your land is? And she said yes. So I bought her the chicken wire and gave her some money to last until the greens comes in. Over there, with when it's raining like that, within 4 weeks the greens are ready to be eaten. So I gave her enough money to last for a month, and she planted. I don't have I think I couldn't find the picture of the garden, beautiful garden. But now she is set, and the oldest daughter, which is in the back there, she's the oldest girl. She looks like one of the younger one, but she's the oldest child. She was just being she was running around with older men because she said her mom couldn't prepare for her. She was hungry, so she would go around and just sleep around with older men. She's only 13 years old. So I talked to her. I said, if you promise me that you will behave yourself, I'll send you to school. You need to stay home with your mom, help with your siblings, and you're going to help your mom in the gardens, and I'll provide schooling for you. And she promised me. And my daughters were talking to her and said, "You need to behave yourself," and whatever. So when I told my daughters what I was doing, they talked to them and said, "Mom will take care of you if you behave yourself, but you can't. You have to stay home with your mom and help your mom out." So I paid her tuition, got her school fee, uniform, and shoes, and got her to school. And at the time, the mom is doing the plantation with no garden and doing well. So, in about 6 weeks after I gave her that money, she sent a message to me and told me I didn't have to pay for the tuition for her daughter anymore because the garden was doing so well that she was able to send all four children that are school age to school. She was paying her bills, and ever since I sent her the money, nobody has gone to bed hungry. So this is a real empowering story of a mom just that just needed a shove over the hump to be able to take care of her children. So that's one of the things that we're working on with the within all 13 districts is go around and see what's in their hands. What can you do that we can help you to succeed? So right now, you may see some sewing machines coming up with teaching sewing. What we're talking to the government about is to let our women that are trained as seamstress, that we will buy the material and give them to sew the uniforms, and we will pay them for the uniforms instead of buying them from the government. So the government is agreeing with us. So we're working out that right now. So hopefully by the end of this semester, some of our women will be sewing our uniforms for us instead of us buying uniform. And that's the one way that we can empower some of these mothers to be able to take better care of themselves and their children and give them a brighter future. So that was just a real beautiful story with my mom. I'm very proud of her. She's constantly thanking me. And she's a big help now to my daughters because the oldest daughter can't do anything. My youngest daughter is 6. So now she does laundry for them and she irons and she cooks for them because the oldest child now is in a wheelchair. So it all works out and she's so grateful. And I'm so grateful for her picking up the pieces with my children. So next. I'm trying to go fast because I know my time is running out. Okay, this is where on the right you see the babies on the backs. Those are our single moms that we are counseling and trying to see how we can help them out to get them back in school. So we're talking to them and we're working with them now. Some of them we're sending them to trade schools. Some of them are not really want to go back to school, but they want to do something. So 2 months ago, we send them seeds and hose and water cans and whatever planting gardens. So they are doing much better for themselves and for their children. So that's one of our projects there, one of our pillars that we're following up on. And you can see that those are some of the they're reading some paperwork that they need assignments that was given to them also. So it's just a counseling session. There's no way to sit for some of them, so we'll just stand and counsel with them because we'll need a certain amount of chairs that we don't really have the resources right now. So shamefully, we're standing up and doing counseling sessions, but for right now, we're trying to do our best until, like I said, the Lord provides hope in hearts and hands to help us to continue the work and the vision that God gives us. So that's what that is all about right now. Next. Okay, these are the elderlies now that comes out. We provide for them food. We'll buy supplies and take it to them in a village, such as soap, sugar, oil, portia. They do portia and greens. So and we do distribute clothing to them, shoes. So you see them. They might have just see as you see on the chair. There's some clothes there. Maybe somebody put their clothes there. You see them fitting on pants. So that's what they come out for, and we do talk to them and see what their needs and how can we meet their needs. So this time when I go back, hopefully by God's grace, we'll be doing more community gardening with the elderly, so we can make sure that they have proper nutrients. Um, so that is what that is. So we do have that's a smaller group. We have larger groups, but that's just a smaller groups. Like I said, sometimes it depends on which district we are in. Some districts are more The crowds are bigger, depend, but these are the elderly, some of the elderly that we do work with. Okay, next. Okay, these are elderly again. It was a clothing drive. You see them over the on the right side. I don't know. They have the clothing there. I guess they're trying to fit something on. They will just fit clothes to see if it fits, or shoes right there. That's what it is. And those up there, those is some of the elders is on my right. Those are just villagers. Just wanted to take some pictures with the director. So those is more for elders that comes together. Next. Okay, that's our van that we purchased for the organization. That's our logo on there. And we have our pillars on there also. We're also seeking help to finish paying off. Like my dear, you see that we still need $3,000 needed to finish paying for this van. So we that would take some of the expenses off of us that we could do more with the orphans, like those new ones right now that we're trying to figure out how to take care of so how many kids? 10, 13 more, 18 more kids. So if someone would love to help us with that, we're more than happy that that van payment would be done with, so we can just concentrate on our children right now. Okay, next. Okay, that is one of the houses you can't see on the left for some reason when they send me the picture, the full view of the picture. One of the houses that been on the left, the white building, that's the house. That's a two-bedroom house, a living, two bathroom. That's the house that we are thinking that we want to use as a guest house. That's a boys, they call it a boys quarter right there. But we may want, because of the needs for orphanage, is we want to see if we can temporarily use it for like maybe a family that we just talked about is so desperate they need a place to stay, that we could get some furnishings and have them to move into that place and have a volunteers to take care of them, to be like a, a nanny for us there with maybe a small stipend to help with that. And then the house over there would be and if it comes to that, we'll have to use that house. Depends on the amount of orphans, I'm sorry, that we have. We may be able to use that house. So those are two buildings right there that we're considering using. The smaller one, the brown one, to to help out with some of the orphanage that we have right now. So we just have to see what the resources are, the furnishings and everything, because these houses are empty. They weren't given to us with furnishings, so we have to come up with the furnishing, bunk beds and all that to provide for the orphanage. Next. Okay, we're trying to do some stuff for ourselves that can generate funds. Those are uniforms or jackets or vests, and we have caps, hats that go with that. We do make our own notebooks covers that when our children go to school, everybody will see that. They have our logos in there, and so we're making our own supplies to cut down costs. And those jackets are being sold. There's lots of the government people that are we are non-government organizations, so we don't get funds from them, but like the parliament people and whatever, they're volunteering with us. Some of them, when we go in the village, some of them will pay for the fuel, some of them will pay for lunch for the volunteers, because we don't have any, we only have one staff member, and that's the office manager. All the others are volunteers, so we do give them meals while they're there. They always go out for 3 days, for visit 13 schools in 3 days. We don't go back in town until we're finished with them, because it's a distance from town. So there will be people in parliament that said, okay, I'll pay for lunch, or one will pay for dinner. A hotel that is right there give us 4 rooms free of charge. That is just set aside for ALS. So our volunteers, they stay in those rooms, and we don't have to pay for it. So we give God praise and thanks. So we do have volunteers who are really dedicated to this mission, but they don't have the financial means to help, but they do give what they can. Like I said, the housing, that man didn't they didn't have the cash to give us, but they gave us the house. That guy with the land didn't have money to give us, but they gave us land. So they're really love what we're doing, and they want to be a part of it, but so they give us what we can. So we're trying to come up with ways that we can generate funds to help out with the program, to so we can move along. And like I said, the building fund is really one of our biggest needs right now, because of the needs of the children, the orphans, that we need to really step up and have better provisions for them by God's grace. So next. Okay, and that's kind of a model of what the buildings we're talking about right now. So the orphans would take up one side. You can't see right now, but their classrooms on the left. The orphanage would be in the back. The classrooms would be up front. We have, I think, we're doing like 4 classrooms, so we would be having our own schools for our orphanage. And then we have on the other side, that would be staff for the ones that are taking care of the orphans. They would have their own rooms there, and bathrooms in the back, and the worship center, community centers, the office, and also a couple guest rooms. So for right now, the ones who want to come, because I have people who said they would happy to come and help out with the teaching department, the education department, so they would help with the orphans in the classroom. So they would be on site. So they would stay on site in the guest rooms there. So that's all that is. So it's a fairly big building, because it's many classrooms. The orphanage area is a good, considerable good size. We're talking about at least 100 orphans that will be able to accommodate. So there's plenty of room. There will be bunk beds in order to accommodate that many kids there. So this is what we're talking about. And so it's kind of a model. You can't really tell or see much from it, but that's what we're thinking about and doing right now. Next. Okay, those are volunteers on the left in their uniforms. When they go out in the district, each one needs to be wearing. They have different days. Some days they wear the blue T-shirts. They depends on the weather. They may not wear their vest or their jacket. They may just have the black pants and the blue shirt with a logo on there, so they know they're ALS. But this time, I think it was a little rainy or wet, so everybody was wearing their vests and their hats. And so when they go out in the community, they know who they're associated with. On the right, there was kids. I think the ones that were selling, um, the one that to the right, the little boy, he was the one that was selling it. The bottles, the water bottles, that he would go to the hotels and bars and pick up bottles and sell them and go home and feed his other 2 kids. He has a mom, but the mom is no good. After the dad died, she lost it, and it's really common when the husband died that the women just don't function very well. So he's being a mom and dad and husband to the mom, because the mom is at home, but she's not no good to herself. So he goes out and try to make money for the whole family while mom stays home. But mom is not even barely able to take care of the 2 kids, so he has to run home and take care of those 2 kids, siblings, and the others are just other children that's a part of our program. And and the lady that's bending down, she's fitting on shoes, because we try to have everyone with at least one pair of shoes and clothes, change of clothing and uniform separate. So uniforms are for school, and other clothes for just for home. They used to doing one uniform if they do, or the dirty clothes for school. So we're trying to get them out of that and have them knowing that school uniforms are school uniforms and clothing So we're working on that also. Next. So our journey from here can only get better with your support. Thank you all very much for this time. Thank you for your prayers and support. And you can make a difference in life of a child, a young mom, or elderly with your generous donations. With just pray about it, and as God works upon y'all's heart and opens your hands and heart, you can be a part of this mission, whether by your prayers or support. Either way, we'll be thankful. And this is not about us; it's all about God. So I give thanks and praise that He includes us in such a time like this to be a part of His vision for us. We're just hands and feet for God, and I'm very excited about it. I'm passionate about what God has asked me to do, His hands and feet. And I've made my commitment and covenant to God 5 years ago. And by God's grace, this will be my mission until my last breath. So thank you very much for listening to me and inviting me on this platform. And may God bless y'all as we close out. Thank you very much, Miss Lulu. You can take over. Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. I know we had a lot of questions, but Sister Rhonda, I know our time is up. Um, are we able to take any questions? I think I saw a few in the chat. Sister Gloria, did you record any of those questions?
And if somebody asked about when you're called mama in Uganda, is it the highest form of respect in Uganda?
Yes.
Mhm. Contact information. Sister Valerie will have to send it to Sister Rhonda, and she will.
Yes. Yes. To
And,
put on
okay.
yes.
And also, I think I saw a question, Sister Gloria. Did you pick it up? Someone asking how they can help. How can they help? I know you talked about the prayers. Um,
Well, right now, prayers and financial support is very, very crucial for us because we cannot do anything without God, and we need the resources so we can move forward to provide for these children, these orphans, these people that the Lord has asked us to take care of. This is who the Lord said for us to help: the elderly, the poor, the widows, and the oppressed. So I know God will call us to do this. Right now, our website should be launched sometime this week. I talked to the director, and we were hoping to launch it this past week, but there was so much going on. So there would be a donation button there that you can, and you'll have option as to which segment of the program you want to, whether it's the building funds, which we're desperately, the building fund and paying out for that van is very crucial right now. But anything that the Lord impress upon you, and for right now, if you're willing to offer right now, especially for those kids that I just showed them there, you can go to Zelle or Cash App, and we do have an account here, so it goes into those accounts, and then I'll send it off to do. I still am a working even though I'm here. So I take very much full control of financial needs over there and payments of what needs to be done. So if you send use a Cash App or Zelle, um, I'll be able to continue doing the work over there by financing whatever is needed over there, and that can be put in the cash in the chat if you need to,
oh,
or
okay.
you can put it, Lulu, if you want to just put it just in case anybody wants it. You can put it in there.
Okay. I can't remember it, but Sister Gloria, can you type that in the chat for us, please, or send it to Sister Rhonda?
Well,
What you want me to chat?
The
the Zelle is
Zelle.
my phone number. The Zelle
Um,
is my phone number.
okay. All right.
Your phone number?
Yes,
What and the Cash App
and the
and
Cash App is VAKI 4905.
okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Again?
VA
KI 4905.
Thank you so much, Sister Val. And your contact information, we'll send it to Sister Rhonda, and then she will put it
Yes.
in the chat.
Yes.
Well, we have been blessed. I am so thankful, Sister Val, for your ministry. I'm so thankful that you've included me to be part of this ministry. This is surely God's ministry that He told us to do in Isaiah. The widows, the fatherless, the poor, the prisoners. And we're praying that God would continue bless you and especially bless ALS and all the many children that are part of ALS.
Thank you.
Sister Rhonda, do you have any closing remarks? If not, you can go ahead and say a blessing for Sister Valerie and ALS. Sister Rhonda? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my sister. It's been amazing. What a wonderful experience. May God bless you continually. And please, everyone, when the Lord calls us, it's not an easy thing. And this woman of God has given her life for others. Reminds me of what Christ did for us. So please give not just support financially, but in prayer as well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. Thank you, Sister Gloria, Sister Luella, and Sister Gloria. God bless you all.
Amen.
And for those of you who want to go back, it's on YouTube, so you can go and check it out on YouTube.
Amen. Sister Rhonda, I think we may
Yes.
need to get Sister Valerie back on there one more time. I know she had some more information that she wanted to share with us as medical missionaries, so maybe we can do that at a future date. Sister Valerie,
Okay.
is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to share some things that she encountered in the field, and she wanted kind of empower us as medical missionaries and how we can look out for certain things and how we can best help people, especially coming from her nutritional background. So
that sounds wonderful.
Yes. So thank you everyone for your support.
Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, Sister Rhonda. Bye.
Thank you, my sisters. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, Sister Sterling, I just joined in. Remembering it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. God bless.
How are you? How is the family?
They're all doing well, praise God.
All right, they've all lost everybody.